Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Grown Mannerisms. I'm John.
And I'm Giovanna, also known as Vonnie.
And, Grown Mannerisms being fluid with the currents of life. Today's episode, we're going to touch on something that we kind of mentioned in our episode about courage. We talked about being an introvert and how being an introvert is a further hindrance, I think, for anyone to present art, whether you're an introvert or extrovert, there is some fear of presenting that art. But, when you're an introvert, you have an additional fear because it's hard for you to open yourself up.
Right.
So before we get into that, I also want to explain, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what an introvert is versus an extrovert, but, sometimes I hear people say, I'm an extroverted introvert, or, there's some confusion as if it's supposed to be a monolithic type of both. Mm-hmm. And to explain, you can be an introvert with social skills. Just because you're an introvert doesn't mean you're socially awkward. Socially awkward or not being social is a total different thing from being an introvert. Now, you could be an introvert and socially awkward, but those things are not mutually exclusive.
Right.
So, and you can be an extrovert but like to be alone to kind of focus your thoughts, or when you're focused on the task, you like solitude in order to do things. So, being an extrovert does not mean you don't like to be alone, and being an introvert doesn't mean you don't know how to be around other people socially.
Right.
And the difference between the two is, where do you get your energy from? Like, an extrovert loves going out. They get energy from going out. We're going through a quarantine right now. So an extrovert being isolated or social distancing, sometimes their energy can be low because they need to feed off the energy of the people.
Yes.
Where an introvert, we need a break from people in order for us to get re-energized. For me, if I'm at a party, after like an hour and a half, if I don't leave the party completely, I need to sit in my car a little bit and kind of like regroup and recharge, or get some time alone with my thoughts, because I can't consistently be battered with other people's emotions.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty general, but I'm just saying, like, so there is a difference, like, that you can be an introvert and still have social skills and be an extrovert and like to be alone. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of want to differentiate between those explanations, just for those who may be confused about it. Mm-hmm. So to start off with, I guess I kind of want to know, what type of introvert are you, and what do you struggle with the most as far as coming out of yourself and coming out of your own head in order to engage with people?
I find that a lot of times when I am myself, like, a lot of people don't get me, and it's weird because I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to open up. And I do it, and it's like crickets. And I'm just like, oh, all right, let me go back to my corner, and I guess, like, that
it's like a turtle popping their head out the shell.
Right. It's like, let me see you. Oh, okay. I got you. So it's hard to find somebody who kind of, like, understands you, who gets you. And so, that has happened to me a lot. Like, I don't consider myself, a weird person. I'm reflective. I think, like, a different way, but I can get along with anybody. I really can. Mm-hmm. But I find when I do open up, to me, it's not received well. So, and I might be a little scarred from that. So sometimes I'm just like, nah, not even going to try, because I don't think that I'm going to gel with these people. So.
And I know one interesting thing that you said that I never thought about, but you made mention of it in the prior episode. You said how when you're an introvert, you tend to, when you're off to the side, you get more attention than if you. So sometimes I know, like I said, for me, because with me, social skills are kind of like that. I don't know if anybody else has this, where you're good at something that you hate to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, It's like, because I like being alone, and it's not that I don't like being around people at all. I just like being around people in smaller, closer environments. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. but I'm not awkward being around a bunch of people.
Right.
But then in those instances, I feel like I gotta shove myself to the middle of the room because you get more attention. It's like if you're quiet, then people like, oh, what's wrong? Or let's entertain John because John looks bored. It's like, no, I don't want all that attention. So in order to kind of heed that off, I come in more personable than I really want to be, and it's natural. So like I said, I don't hate being personable because it's a trait that we all need.
Right.
You know, human connect. I hear from people all the time, like, you know, human connection is what we all strive for. Whenever I'm listening to, you know, podcasts or a friend of mine, she always says, like, you know, all humans crave interaction and love.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So that leads us to, you know, an African proverb that you brought up, which is, you can go far alone, but we go further together.
Faster alone.
We go faster alone.
Further together.
Oh, yeah, see. Yeah. I'm glad you here to correct me on that. But, yeah, so that quote made me think of when that gets communicated to me, because I'm someone who likes to travel alone. But I noticed that, especially in this last year of, you know, dealing with quarantine, being quarantined with someone else in close quarters, you know, our turmoil led to tranquility. And I mean that by, it's like we had to because we had nowhere else to go. Yeah. We had to deal with each other and maybe our problems with each other and other residual problems from other situations that may have just carried over. Yeah. So it was kind of like we threw all of this baggage, all of this stuff in the water, causing all these waves and all of these ripples. So there was turmoil. Yeah. But in navigating that, we were able to let the things drift away that didn't need to be in our purview. Like, we just let it drift away. And then the other things that we collected, we were able to put them back in their proper place in a more manageable and more healthy way.
Okay. So are you saying that unless you were forced to do that, you wouldn't have done that?
I wouldn't have done it.
So you see the growth from being forced to have it be in a situation with someone else where you couldn't just retreat and do things your own way.
Exactly. Okay. So that's what brought me to the quote, because the growth that I came to was things that, and you know, like, I've been slowly growing over the years, like, you know what I'm saying? And not slowly, because some things have been fast, but it's like my consciousness has been growing. Yeah. Things about me that I used to, you know, approach things a certain way. I changed that mentality. But I was doing it at my own pace. Yeah. I was doing it at my own comfort. Right. But having to do it with someone else made me take leaps and bounds further in my growth. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a situation where you ever stop growing, but you know, the growth that I had just in 1 year kind of topped maybe the last 3 or 4 years combined. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So like there's comfort in our introversion, but the discomfort can help us move to further places in life that we would have never gotten to doing things our own way. Right.
Because again, being an introvert, you're internal. You tend to, I could never spend 4 hours at a party. That's just not me. Yeah. But I could spend 12 hours reading a book with no problem. Right. I can read a 500-page book in 1 day. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I've read a series of books in 1 week. You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me to be in my own head. Sometimes people think I'm in my own head and I'm worried. I'm like, nah, that's where I find comfort. Yeah. I find comfort being in my own head and not, like you said about, you know, finding acceptance. Sometimes you open up and people reject you. Like sometimes I'm in my head so much, so when I verbalize things, people may not understand it, and then they misconstrue what I'm saying. Yeah. Or they misunderstand who I am, or maybe I'm not presenting it the right way because in my head it's coming out one way. Yeah. I mean, it's one way, but when it's coming out, how people receiving it is something different. So then it make me like, I don't want to talk no more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's you. Me and you have that same exact experience. And even though, you know, we love, you know, being in our own little space and our own head, we have limitations.
Yeah.
You know, so if we only rely on us, we only make it to, you know, certain points in life because we didn't open ourselves up to allowing, you know, having these experiences outside of ourselves, you know, or limiting those experiences outside of ourselves.
Where, like, do you have a moment or a situation that made you? I never used the word introvert until I took this personality test.
Uh-huh.
And the personality test was, you know, I'm sure everybody's pretty much been taking them. I don't know if you ever took one. It tells you like your personality type.
Yeah.
And it said I was an INTP. And but so I broke it down, and then on the introvert, it's the Myers-Briggs test. If anybody's interested in just taking it, and it breaks down your personality type pretty much. But on the introversion, so introversion, intuitive, thinking and perceiving. So that's the I is the introvert, the N was intuitive, the T was thinking, and the P was perceiving.
Okay.
And on the introvert portion of the test, I scored a 97. So I'm a 97% introvert, which nobody who knows me would say I'm an introvert because they know that I can talk.
Yeah.
But anybody that lives with me would probably say, "Nah, he's introvert." Like,
right.
If he's silent in the house.
Yeah.
I'm only talkative when I'm around talkative people.
You know, it's like it's also like survival skills.
Yeah. So that's a good point. So when you're introverted, you know, it almost comes off as if you don't have people skills.
Uh-huh.
And so is it a moment in your life or that you can think of or remember where you just was kind of like, it was a shift, like, I can't be introverted. Maybe you didn't use the word, but you might have said, I can't be me. I have to try to be this. Because I can think of an instance that you told me about, if you don't mind me sharing it.
Sure.
I remember you telling me a situation like you were in church and everybody was kind of like on fire for God. And it was kind of like, it was all this exuberance and shouting and clapping, like catching the Holy Ghost or being on fire for God.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have a more stoic expression, but it's not that you don't feel what everybody else is feeling.
Right.
But you don't have the outward emotion to match theirs. So it was kind of like everybody was looking at you like, you're not feeling the spirit. And it's like, nah, I feel it.
Right.
I just don't express it the same way you do.
Right.
Remember when you told me that, because I actually felt the same way. Like, people would expect, like, especially like somebody presents me with a gift. Yeah. I hate receiving gifts in public, or I won't open it in public because it's like,
they want you to respond. Yeah.
And it's like, I could really, really love the gift, but I might just be like, yo, this is cool, this is dope, or yeah, like, I like it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like that's enough. Like, it doesn't seem like it expresses enough of my joy around the gift.
Right.
So then I feel like I have to put on this, wow, oh my God, thank you, and then hug people, you know what I'm saying, and give this outward show of emotion.
Well, I'll give this very embarrassing confession.
All right.
So I've, just like how you said the church thing, you know, if you're around, you know, people who are charismatic and, you know, very expressive, they will misconstrue your intent or your personality. Now, I'm like literally thinking this just now. I have to admit that I have been judgmental about extroverts. I, you know, in my mind, you know, I'll see somebody and I'll think, calm down.
Yeah.
Go sit down and shut up.
Right.
It doesn't take all that. You're obnoxious, you know, and really, like, that's just who they are. But since I'm introverted, it's like I kind of look at those qualities as like a bad thing because it's so opposite or against who I am. So I have been judgmental. So, you know, I have to think those things through when people look at me and they misconstrue who I am or what I'm thinking. And I do the same. I have done the same. I've looked at people and thought, you know, you're just being ridiculous. When really, that's just their personality. Just because they didn't have my personality didn't mean that they were being ridiculous. You know, it was just a misunderstanding. I misunderstood their character.
I think that it comes down to whether you're imposing on someone else's
Yeah.
imposing, or your feeling is overwhelming the room.
Yeah.
So because again, you can be an introvert. You're a Leo, like I'm a Leo. There's a lot of pride and dominance when it comes to being a Leo. You know what I'm saying? So just think about, if you're a prideful, like if you have a strong personality, you could be an introvert and have a strong personality.
Yeah.
And sometimes extroverts, whether they have a strong personality or not, because they're so openly expressive, that type of engagement can overwhelm your senses. So even if they're not a forceful person, like someone can be completely nice and overwhelming.
Yeah.
And somebody can be completely rude and overwhelming. So, you know what I'm saying? So I think what happens is, it's kind of like your energy is invading my space. And then it's a clash.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I didn't tell them when I thought. I just thought.
Right.
But they told me.
Right. No, but you're saying it's true, because I have a friend that's an extrovert, and all my friends that's extroverts, it's like when they see someone that introverted, they like, yo, how can you just sit in a room all day?
Right.
Yo, how can you, like, you just read a book the whole day? That was your day. Like, it's like they're almost offended that you can sit still.
Right.
It's like,
and I'm thinking, like, aren't you tired of talking?
Yeah,
You know?
like, you.
But I'm just thinking it.
Yeah.
Introversion won't let me tell you what I'm thinking. I'm like, you got to be exhausted from all that social interaction.
Yeah, and you know, the point of this show is or the overwhelming theme, that's the tagline for the show, is being fluid with the currents of life. And everything is about fluidity. And I think rigidness is what it's always what we expect, which there has to be a certain rigidness to clearly define what your boundaries are. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, I don't budge on this.
Yes.
When it comes to matching energy, it's hard for an introvert and an extrovert. Now, if there's balance and respect on both ends, where there's no judgment, then extroverts pull me out of my shell.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for extroverts, if it wasn't for Troy when we was growing up, like, you know, like all these people that love engagement. If I didn't have them, I probably wouldn't have the social skills that I had.
Right.
Because without them, I would have been in the room all day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And when I went outside, you know, I knew how to fight. My mother taught me how to fight, but I didn't know how to communicate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if it came down to a situation where I was threatened and had to defend myself, I could do that well. But if I had to talk my way out of a situation,
that's
probably wasn't going to happen.
Ain't gonna work.
It ain't going to happen. So I think that there's a need for extroverts in our world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's weird that we because I've done the same thing where the loudest person, I'm like, yo, I wish they shut up. You know, or those people, like when you at a meeting at work and they're like, do anybody got any questions? You like, I just got my paperwork. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to get in my truck. I'm ready to do this. And it's kind of like, oh, I got another question. And I'm just like, oh. And then it's a question personal to them. I'm like, y'all can't talk in the office about that. I'm trying to go. Like, I always make the joke that I was socially distancing my whole life. Like, even in the meetings, like if the meeting is over there, I'm standing over here. I'm listening. But I'm about as far, I'm like one step out the door. Like, as soon as y'all say we can go, I'm gone. Like, I actually started timing it. Like, we're not late until after, like, if you come in at 10, you're not late till after 10:05. I clock in at 10:05 every day. So it's like, I come in, get my paperwork, go. I ain't got to talk to nobody, no meetings. I'm just getting my paperwork. I get to work at 9:45, but I sit in my car literally to the last minute so I can just clock in and go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I was kind of wondering, like, when did I know I was an introvert? Like at what point, like, did I figure out this aspect of my personality? And I really don't know. But our aunt, and she'll get a kick out of this, our youngest aunt, she has a story that she likes to tell about me when I was very little, like 3 years old. And people would say to me, you know, oh, you're so cute. And she said that I would get mad and I stiffen up and I was like, I'm not cute. Like, and she just thought that was the funniest thing in the world. Of course, I don't remember, but I'm like, okay, so it must have been like forever then, you know, if they got these stories about me.
It's funny that you say that about Aunt Nikki, because you know, she's the one that I actually went back years later and talked to her about it, because it was a point in time, maybe I was like, say, early 20s, and she was like, John, you're a leader. You were born to be a leader. And I was just like, I don't want to lead nobody. I don't even want to talk to nobody. So how am I going to lead people if I don't even want to talk to nobody? And she saw something in my characteristics that I didn't attribute to leadership at that time.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can't be a leader. I don't like to talk.
Right.
But I had the natural ability to bring people together and people listen.
And that's the further together.
Yes.
You could be you. That's cool. But when you open up and share your gift to people, you help them.
Yeah.
So it's like...
And those people helped me. So I always felt like I'm not a leader, because the things that I'm able to do is only because the people are receptive to me. Right. So I always attribute it to, no, that's them being open-minded or whatever the case may be. It's not really anything that I've done. But as I got older and I started realizing, like, it's no shame. Like, it sometimes it can sound arrogant if you say those things, but it's not arrogance to... You should have pride in what you're great at. You know what I'm saying? And there shouldn't be shame around the things that you take pride in. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And after a while, I started realizing I did have the ability to bring people together, because I'm not the type of person that I dictate to people what to do, but I do know that I have the ability to connect with a lot of people in a lot of different ways, and to share information in a way that's conducive to everybody. And I learn more just as much as I, give. And I think that that's something that, people talk to me and say that they think is really, nice about me, is that I can have my point of view, but I also accept other people's point of view. Yes. And not impose my way of thinking on them. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's something I value. I value people that can share experiences with me and not expect me to conform to what they think or believe. Yes. And so when I realized that ability was something inherent and something that you can't deny. If you were born to be something, you cannot not be it. You know what I'm saying? And it's not in a dump your chest type of way, like saying I am something. Yeah. But it is a real affirmation of you knowing your worth and knowing what you were placed on this earth to be, to do, even whether now to different degrees, and to, like, my leadership may just be 3 people, and all those 3 people may be in my household. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They might be, but
it makes a difference.
It makes a difference.
And it'll multiply. Yeah. Because now those 3 people have that influence, and they'll impact probably 3 people themselves, and it'll be, a big domino effect. Yeah. So we can't look at it as like small potatoes.
But it all ties together into, you can't be whatever you have to be fully. And say the quote again.
Faster alone, further together. And
so we go fast alone, but further together. And I think that when I think about all the things that I've been accomplished in my life, and that's, like I said, to go back to Aunt Nikki when I called her and said it, it's only the people around me that made me who I am. You know what I'm saying? I was who I learned how to be, but these people propelled me to reach who I should be. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's crazy because, like, you adapt to whatever your environment is. So I learned to have certain skills because it was necessary, like you said, survival skills. Yeah. But being around other people and being in different situations and being exposed to experiencing their experiences, whatever inherently is in you will respond to these other situations. Sometimes it's hard to respond to it in your own life. But when you're exposed to other people and other situations, if you're a dismissive person, you'll dismiss other people's problems.
Yeah.
That naturally.
Right.
That'll just be like, that's not important to me.
Yeah.
If you're an empathetic person, you'll take on people's troubles when you're exposed to them, because it's kind of like, so about going faster alone but further together, the only way you reach true fruition of whatever it is that you have to do, you have to get away from what you learned, and other people are the ones that give you a chance to be essentially who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They actually give you that push, that burst. If you're a creative person, but you're in a room by yourself, you may not create. When you're around other people, somebody might put a paper in your hand and be like, man, I got to think of something to say for this thing I got. And it's like, I can help you with that. And now your gift is coming out and manifesting. This has been Grown Mannerisms, being fluid with the currents of life. I'm John.
I'm Giovanna.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time.